that you think you like. And you might like it at the time, but then you might be introduced, exposed to new technology, new fields that you hadn't been before. That's been the case for one of my friends at work. He's a front-end developer. He started 5, 6 years ago as a backend developer, and then there was a requirement that was about front-end development at his old workplace, and no one knew how to do it. So he had to learn. He did it, and he liked it. So he changed his career path 4 years ago, and now he's a senior front-end developer, and he loves what he's doing. So yeah, he didn't know back then when he was at the uni. So that's what I'm saying. It's a combination of lack, opportunities, and what you really like.
And
So in
exploring.
your yeah. In your career, you'll like counter all those opportunities. If you really like something, you will go for it. And if you're given the chance, you will uh, dive into it.
And thank you, that was really helpful. And is it easy to change from one thing to another?
If it wasn't, well, I'll be honest, it's not easy, as in there's a lot of experience you don't have and you need to gain it. But once you make that step, it's optional, it's up to you, it's not mandatory, it's not someone enforcing you. So it means you love it, it means you enjoy it. So easy, it's a very relative term. It's what makes you happy. And to make the change, it means the change makes you happy. So yeah, it's not easy, it's never easy. You need experience, and experience accumulated over a period of years. But it's nice, and it's if it makes you happy, then go for it.
Yeah, I certainly found the same thing with law, and I know this has nothing to do with the seminar, but it's pretty much the same principle. You enter into an industry, there are so many options, so it is a combination of luck where you start, and then you start testing stuff, and then eventually, as Andrea said, you just checking if you like something, and then if you think you like it, then you go for it, and then you can use then those transferable skills if you end up not liking it to switch. So we've got time for another 2 questions. If somebody wants to type something in the chat or unmute their microphones and ask the question. Okay, so we've got 2. The heavy one from our note taker. What are some of the challenges that the tech industry is currently facing? And how would IT and engineering graduates prepare themselves to be an idea fit? So, sorry, this is from Talia.
So what are the challenges?
Yes.
From my perspective, there's a really lack of talent. There's a high demand for software engineers and not enough people to fill all those spots. And that's a good thing from some perspective. That's a bad thing from some other perspective. When you're trying to hire someone as a company and you can't find someone to fill your spot, it means you are not delivering at the pace you really want to deliver, and that's a shame, really, because you are willing to pay for someone to do the job, but you can't find someone in time. If you keep persisting, of course you'll find eventually. Now the situation is quite the inverse when it comes to graduates. There's too many graduates to fill too few positions, and that's absurd. That's a paradox, because we have graduates with no jobs, and we have seniors that are not enough to fill the open positions. Now, someone might ask, why don't you just redirect graduates into the senior positions? They might be intelligent. Yes, they might be intelligent, and they might be the most brilliant people in the world, but they lack production professional experience, and that's very important. I couldn't understand it as a graduate, but I do now. It's a different set of skills you need to have once you go into a workplace. It doesn't matter if you're the most intelligent man in the world. You need a few years of experience to be able to push code to production and deliver software that meets high standards. So from my perspective, I think that's the greatest challenge, that paradox of hiring and wanting to hire or people or wanting to get a job and not having enough opportunities.
That's very interesting. But I'm presuming that as the years go by, then the gap will start changing.
It's just shifting.
Yes.
Because the graduates become seniors and there are more graduates. So yeah, there's no solution to that really. Yeah, at my workplace, we adopted a more relaxed strategy where we opted in for accepting more graduates, but that's a hard limit. There's always a limit in respect to how many you can take in at one time, because you have to train them, you have to dedicate resources. So yeah.
Makes sense. And Andreas, do you have anything to add? Any other challenges that you could?
No, I agree with what George said.
Nice. So we've got a question from Greg. Greg, do you want to unmute yourself and share the question?
So I asked two questions. I think the one is kind of answered. So we have India and China investing heavily in technology. And obviously these places are much more cheaper in terms of employment opportunities. So do you see any danger in the jobs either in Europe or London or Silicon Valley being outsourced? And where do we draw the line between quantity and quality? Because why someone would hire 3-4 engineers in India and hire one in London? So what do you see from your side as a decision making in terms of your organizations? What's the preference?
I don't know. There is how to explain it. So, for example, in India, let's take India. They have so many software engineering firms. I recently had. I'm going to go with an example. I have a friend who took over a project. I have a friend in Cyprus who took over a project from a Cypriot company, a tech project. And before that, before going to this guy, he was this company, this Cypriot company, hired people from India to do his job, and specifically a company, not just people, random people. It was a company in India or Bangladesh, I don't remember, or Pakistan, one of those. And he hired them. And my friends have seen and then the Cypriot company stopped dealing with them because they couldn't collaborate well and they didn't deliver what they have to deliver at the timely manner or whatever. But anyway, my friend got the code that they wrote, and he's seen that it was like it wasn't like the quality code that he was expecting. The quality wasn't that high. That's an example. And I don't know, in companies like my company or Bank of America, we have teams in India, but they're mostly supporting teams, supporting tech. So yeah, it's like we're outsourcing for the most basic stuff. I don't know if that's true or not. They have very bright people as well, I'm sure, but mainly India companies are outsourced for the more basic stuff. I don't know. Do you have anything else in mind? This is my perspective, what I've heard, for example. What about you, George?
So back to what I said before, when a company hires you, you have to have two different kinds of skills: domain knowledge in the area that the company is focusing on, and the technical expertise. I guess you can get a lot of technical expertise when you outsource a task, a project for your company, but you can't get the domain knowledge, and that might work for simple projects or for trivial stuff. But for most stuff, if you want to build on your main core system, you need people with experience or your main core system. You can't hire someone to make Google to the Google search engine that has never seen it in their life. You have to put someone in the team with the engineers who have been working on the Google search engine for 3, 4, 5 years or more that know how the system works. It's very difficult to maintain a system. It's extremely difficult that you haven't been exposed to for months or even years. Now, what you can do if you want to outsource, you can move your whole team to India and let them, if we take India, for example, and let them develop your system from scratch and be your main team. You could do that, but if you want to do that, you have to have personnel in India that you trust. You have to have someone to build the team there. You have actually to move your team, your offices in India and make it happen there, which can happen, but it's going to cost you money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that answers the question. Thank you very much.
Thank
And I think we are a bit over time now, so sadly I need to close this. But I would like to thank you both, Andreas and George, for taking the time today. This was a very interesting session, and I hope that our audience learned as much from you as I did. And